Hello everyone and welcome back to Macro Day right here on Scriptcase by Jamie. And today, as I said, it is Macro Day and we're talking about a very powerful security and control macro that governs access to your applications at runtime of your application, which is quite important, I may say. It's like having a master switch for every app in your project. So today we're going to dive into the SCAPL status macro. The SCAPL status or SC_APL_status macro is used to dynamically control application access. It allows you to enable or disable any application within your system based on your predefined custom conditions, such as maybe the user permissions or system maintenance modes, or maybe the subscription levels that you have within a platform. Now, this macro provides you with a robust layer of runtime security and application management. It is, in fact, quite important for those serious projects. So let's check it out, shall we? So we have here the SCAPL status. So let's go ahead and open up a form, let's say. So I'll come here into in the samples project at the moment. So if you haven't generated this, do go ahead and check it out. It is pretty nice to see how everything is created. You have everything here. Okay, so here we have our events. And I will just place this here on the onScriptInit event for now, and SC application status or APL_status. So we add our brackets there and close that off. And then just like that, we have our macro. Now, this macro does come with two parameters. And that is, first of all, application. And then the second one is then the status. Okay, and then with the status, we have the options as on or off, either one of the two. And it's really as simple as that. So by application, I would be meaning here the application name. So right now I'm viewing the form 50. So this would become form 50. And here the status would simply become on or off. And just like that, well, I have changed the status of this application. It is pretty serious in some shape or form. Now, running in this scenario really makes no sense because it's just going to switch the form on or off. And then basically what we want to do then is use this in maybe conjunction with an if-else statement. So if we have, for instance, our user, and our user, say, has say admin access or whatever specific profile you have going there for this user. It could be maybe just a Y or a yes or a basic or whatever you have going there. And then we just close that off and then we open up our if-else statement here. And then we have our if, and then we just add an else, and then else we may want to adjust that for something else. Now, in some cases, just the if statement will do. Okay, because if we have specific user, then we will switch the application on or maybe off, depending on what you are doing. Now, in those cases, you would want to then continue that and then actually redirect the end user as well using the scredir macro. And if you don't know that macro, be sure to check out one of the other videos. Now, after that, I would then also want to scexit as well, so that we then exit out of this application. Now, the redirect should alone be fine, and with that you should be good. Now, using this macro does add an extra layer of security to your applications. Now, it does allow you to run, say, fine-grained, let's call it, conditional access during the runtime of your applications. And then when you say you want to disable as in off, maybe you want to change how the user then experiences this, because then in some cases you may want to redirect the user instead of switching the application off and actually using this macro, because in this case the user should then receive typically an application disabled message. Now, that is not really the nicest way of restricting the access. So that is not really the way I would go around restricting the access for an end user. But it is one way, and it is definitely a nice macro to have within your Scriptcase toolbox. So I'm not going to show you it. I think you can go ahead and run it for yourselves today, because we do have one other macro as well. Now, of course, don't forget, if you find these macro videos helpful, do please go ahead and give us a thumbs up on the videos that you watch. It would be very helpful, and let me know that you are actually enjoying them. Otherwise, what's the point of me creating them, of course, if you're not finding them helpful? Anyway, our next macro today, let's check it out. So next up we have, shall I bother typing it in here? I'm going to add it in here anyway. We have the sc reset underscore menu underscore delete, which is our 100th and second macro. Yes, you heard that correctly. Number, our form 50 here with our application status was 101 macros. Now we have at 102 already. Now you may think we skipped 2, but no, the previous week was in fact the 100th macro that we've had here on the channel. But that's great. I hope you have been enjoying them and that you find them, well, helpful to yourself in some shape or form. Okay, so this macro, well, as you can imagine, this has everything to do with the menu application, hence its name. It says it there, menu. So it is sc reset menu delete, sc underscore reset underscore menu underscore delete. Now, imagine, for instance, that you have maybe a main dashboard application that calls a menu that you sometimes maybe redirect back to the menu with specific parameters. So say, for instance, you're using here the sc menu delete command, and it ran in a previous session or maybe on the page load, and you may want to clear it before the new logic is available within that menu. So when you're passing variables back and forth, sometimes you want to make sure that they are cleared when you end up at a specific location. And that is here what you are wanting to do with this very specific macro. So now what we can do then is we have then the sc menu delete, and if I open up here a menu application, I probably want a new menu, but let's come in here and we have here the on application init. So in here then I would then want to use the sc reset underscore menu underscore delete. Now typically you'd use this in conjunction with other macros, because this basically just resets the menu list so that it's available to receive then the new requirements of menu items that need to be displayed. So here, for instance, you would then go if, now in this case, let's go with the user like we had previous. If this is the user, say admin, and then we are going to go ahead and say we use then the sc menu delete option. And that then allows us then to, well, delete then the menu for those specific users. And of course I need to add an extra E on there. And that could well be, for instance, say our item, say 10, or let's give it the admin underscore dashboard example. And that could be then the item 10. Remember, you have the item numbers right here within the menu items. So here, when I view a menu item, displays here the ID of that menu item. And then that is then what I would want to add in here. So item 10, for instance. And then instead of having, say, the user, let's call this thing guest, and then item 10 here could then be, for instance, our admin, admin dashboard. And with that, then maybe we want to also hide in another, which could then be our, say, our, what else would we have as admin? Would have our log. Let's make sure we get that right this time. Fat fingers and I don't see the keyboard. Okay, so we have an item, say 12, and that could then be our admin log, for instance. And then with that, we reset the menu and we have then a nice new clean menu afterwards. It's pretty straightforward. Now, I don't think we'd actually use here the on application init, so it would more likely be here on the onload. Okay, and then with that, we would then make those specific adjustments to the full menu. Okay, so I think we have there two macros, and I hope you have been enjoying this macro series and that these macros have been helping you. Now, the other macro that comes with this, because there is, like most macros, there are multiple macros that come together for very specific purposes. Well, the next one is next week, I'm afraid. So until then, I hope you have enjoyed this very specific macro video and of course enjoy all of the macro videos. And until the next macro, which is of course next week, Friday, I hope, in time. Okay, so thanks very much for watching, and until then.